you talk about the difference between sales and business development. This is something in the book, right? And I really like your definition of it, or I guess kind of how you explained it. So are you able to just quickly just explain kind of how you see the difference between sales and biz dev?
Sure. We'd actually think that's maybe one of the simplest concepts in the book. Sales is a transaction. When you're practicing sales, what you're doing is you're following a very well-defined process, usually a shorter one, designed to get to a close. The seller and the buyer know their roles. They know why they're there. The seller is trying to close a deal. The buyer is trying to acquire a benefit as a result of the deal. And you're kind of in this dance, and everybody sort of knows what the steps and what the moves are. But there's no question that the end result is the handing over of money in some format from the buyer to the seller. Business development is not a transaction. It's not driving to a transaction. Yes, it's driving to revenue for the developer, but the relationship is different. The relationship between the business developer and the buyer now is one that that comes through a client-centric series of events in which the business development team is continually bringing value to the conversation, is continually making the buying organization or the buyers themselves smarter, wiser, maybe more excited, maybe more aware. And there aren't necessarily specific steps, although we think there are specific activities associated with business development. But we're not driving to a close. We're driving to an inevitable agreement that I, the buyer, really do have this problem, and you, the business developer, really offer me something that I didn't think I could get, which is a solution to it. So the net result in both cases is revenue, as I said, but the roles that buyers and sellers play in these two different scenarios are entirely different, and they're likely to lead to very different kinds of outcomes.
Thank you for that. You talk about business development positioning. Now, this is taking this concept, which you just explained, and then kind of adding a positioning level on top of it. And you talk about the integration between kind of sales and marketing and how all this should progress the relationship, right? And so I thought that was a really good topic, because a lot of sales or business development people will try to do the nurturing, but they're coming at it from a sales perspective, right? And so it's like they're saying, oh, well, he just said I should do that, so I'll kind of just half do it, and then the buyers can tell, right? So what's the mindset around the value adding and the business development positioning that you talk about in your book?
Yeah, we ultimately, and let's go back to one of your first questions. Let's look at it from a high level. We're trying to reframe the business development organization's approach to business development to get it away from being self-centric, firm-centric, to being prospect-centric. Positioning is just one reflection, or pre-positioning, which is positioning before the RFP, is a reflection of making that pivot. Too much marketing information that goes out right now, both because marketing departments are thinking this way and because business developers are thinking this way, is about how wonderful we, the firm, are. Look at our products, look at our process, look at our people, look at our case studies. It's all about us. Buyers don't care about that. And even if they did, they cannot differentiate among competing firms on that criteria alone as easily as the competing firms think they can. So I'm a consulting firm, and I put out my the biographies of my people and my client list and all those great things about myself. And I think that makes me stand out from the crowd. The buyer gets that, and it looks exactly like 17 other submissions that they've gotten. So this idea of bringing value it comes from the premise that we want all communication from the business development side to be directed at what matters to the client, not what that particular firm is proud of or thinks is important. So you got to have insights on the business. You got to have a point of view and a perspective. You have to challenge the buyer to think differently about what's possible or what's wrong, what's broken. All of those things are elements of a positioning that become buyer-centric and not seller-centric.